Okay, Patty's here now. Okay. So I'd like to welcome everyone. This is our first of budget workshops for the 25-26 year. If you'll all stand and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this budget workshop is not so much in depth with the actual numbers yet. This is more, it gives a flavor. I've been doing this every year to the board. Items we've accomplished, items that are in process, and what the plan is for the upcoming year. Let's see if I can. So the flow of process for the budget. The board will be given a budget worksheets over the next week to begin reviewing. As we review them at the budget workshops, I have set them up over the month of February. So I have them set up the following 2 Wednesdays, and then I have that Monday at the end of February. So we'll put you guys on the Google Calendar invite so you'll have them. Lindsay will put them on the website as well. I have it broken down into 2 sessions so we can go over the 2 big parts of the budget. The third one is if we need it, or if there's special areas you guys want to look at. I have scheduled budget workshops to review the details of the general fund, minor funds, and enterprise fund budgets. The enterprise is the water and sewer and building department. The purpose of today is to obtain any feedback when I'm done to allow the finance team to complete the budget for all funds. Today we will focus on the overall goals to ensure we were all on the same track. And this is not, no reviews are final yet of the figures. We have a good start on it. I've been working on it in the past month, so all the department heads have them. We're going to be meeting with them over the next week to work on buttoning them up. On March 5th, at our board meeting, will be the public hearing. That's when I'll do the formal presentation, and then at March 19th will be the vote for that. And then I don't have it listed, but March 31st is our budget amendment meeting. We will also talk about any strategic non-dollar initiatives as well, if you guys like to. So our financial goals budgeted is to maintain overall millage rates. So I'm proud to report Washington Township, we operate at voter-approved millage or below. We maintain our AA+ bond rating, and we continue to operate financially responsible with our budget. These are some of the capital projects. So over the last 4 years, I'm proud the board, we did complete West Road, Mound Road from 26 to 28, campground. We actually fixed the infrastructure underground for draining purposes and repaved to 28 Mile. This last spring, we did the new intersection there with the roundabout. We actually received an award from it, from the Chamber of Commerce. 32 Mound, that's been widened to put in the new traffic light this spring. If you drive by that area, you'll see utility workers there getting ready to put the new traffic light there. M53, that was a big initiative that from 27 to 33 Mile, the state paid for this. No township costs were incurred. They did all sorts of patching, millwork, and paving replacements on the ramps and along the shoulders to extend the life of M53. We all dealt with it with all the traffic on Van Dyke, but yeah, last year. 30 Mile Road, we paved that 2 years ago, and then from Mound to Kildare, we finished that this past year. That was a joint effort with MJC Companies, which helped us, so it wasn't all taxpayer funded, it was developer paid, a big portion of it. PPP work, that's preventative maintenance work that the county does, that when the road is starting to show some wear and tear, but it's salvageable. So over the last 4 years, we did portions of 26 Mile Road, 27 Mile Road, 29 Mile Road, and then 30 miles from that portion of Van Dyke to Kildare. Road projects that are in process, as I mentioned, 32 on Mound, we have the turn lanes that have been installed. The traffic light is awaiting, so almost every day I'm being asked, we forgot to put the lights up, but the lights are coming, so it's the infrastructure of the utilities that was being installed. Powell Road was engineered last year. That's supposed to be going in this spring, hopefully, summer at the latest. So that'll go from 30.5 mile to 32 mile. We've designed the paving of Shana Road from 26 to 27. The hopes with that is it'll help alleviate some of the traffic off of Jewel Road and Van Dyke. I've been pushing for this since I was a trustee, so I'm hoping this will happen. Snell Road, this is actually a newer concern that's been brought to us. Snell Road has become the new cut through to get into Rochester. Although it's a very small portion of road, the dust control is terrible in that area. It's a dangerous curve. When the weather's bad, it's bad. So we've had both roads designed. I have it before the county to consider for a cost share for both of these projects. The TIP program, this is a great program awarded by the state. They pay for 80% of it. Mound Road has been approved from 29 to 32 mile. This is one of, after repairing all the other roads, this is probably one of the roads with the most TLC needed. So I'm happy to report that they approved it. The bad news is it won't be happening until 27, 28. So we got another 3 years before they do this. Again, the pro of it is that they pay 80% of it. The negative, if we go ahead and do it, we'll have to pay 50% of it. So we're looking at 10% us, 10% the county, and 80% the state. So the grant's a huge savings to the township. I've submitted for 27 Mile Road between Van Dyke and Jewel. That road is falling in disrepair, so I'm hoping to hear from them this month as they award this year's program on 27 Mile. These are projects, capital improvements that we will do. As I mentioned, Powell Phase 2, which is 30.5 to 32 mile. This project actually will be covered by the ARPA funds. We voted last year to use the remaining ARPA funds to cover the cost share of this phase of the project, so there'll be no cost to the taxpayers on this. The 32 and Mound, as I mentioned, the traffic lights. These other two are the next two that are kind of like on the top 10 list of, now that Powell Road will be paved, 31 mile from Powell to Van Dyke is another road with a lot of requests to get paved. There's no commitment to that. This is something for the board to keep in the back of their mind. As well as 31 mile from Sisson to Hidden Oaks, a lot of requests to get that paved. There's no commitment. The board will look into that. The sidewalk program, we've been spending close to $1 million a year on this. This year, we're projected to spend half that amount. We've really accomplished a lot in the last 3 years. We've connected to all the schools, to the orchard trails, and we did some of the businesses. The next set of sidewalk program is along 29 Mile Road and some portions of 28 to get to the orchard trail from those two areas. Tonight at this board meeting, the sidewalk committee has put together blinking lights at each of the crossing for the Macomb Orchard Trail. So tonight we're going to present for the engineering work for the crossing at 30 Mile Road. Because as people are driving to the expressway, they might not see people walking and driving by there, or walking by. The internal drive, I'll get to this a little bit later, but this is the area that the township owns, the 33 acres. We have a proposal to kind of develop that area into smaller lots to make it more attractable for sale. This is another area where the board can look into. Again, as I mentioned, Shaner and Snell, being their design, they've gone up a notch on the county to hopefully get a cost share with that. Annually, the township participates with the limestone program. With the county, it's a big savings. It's $35,000, which is very low portion. The county actually puts more than that, but this is for 3 miles where the township feels it's needed. All roads in the last several years that I've been on the board have all been covered at least one time with the limestone, some have too. So I have been working with the supervisor in Ray Township. We've been doing sharing our program with Hayes Road to kind of build up Hayes Road. Being it's a border road, that's one of the roads to look at for this year. Cemetery renovations, that's another thing for the board to start thinking about. The last 2 years, we've spent about $35,000 a year to help fix the headstones at the cemetery at 29 Mile Road. No matter what amount of money we put into it, it's very expensive for keeping up those headstones. So if the board would like to continue this year, that's another area. The 26 Mile Bridge near the roundabout, this is very exciting because we've been pushing for this at least 4 years. And I think even longer than that. This bridge is actually a pedestrian bridge from Beaconsfield, which is near Jewel, to the M53 roundabout. This will keep people safe. It's also a wide enough bridge that the trucks can actually drive over it to snowplow it. We were lucky enough, we received a very huge grant, $850,000 for the bridge, and we're planning to use ARPA funds for the balance of about $425 to $450. This isn't a cheap bridge. It's about close to $1.3 million total. It includes the sidewalks leading to it, but the bridge itself is being fabricated. The work actually starts next Wednesday, and it should be completed by November this year. And hopefully we'll put one of these beauties right on the bridge on there. So I would like to implement a traffic study in the northern part of the township. A few years ago, we did a traffic study south of 29 Mile Road. I'd like to see a traffic study done in the northern part of the township, as the township has changed now. Also, it's post-COVID, so people are now returning to work, most of them, and so the traffic patterns are starting to develop again during traffic hours, and see what roads are getting more traffic. I put this as the last thing, future road resurfacing. When I became a trustee 8 years ago, it was like $500,000 per mile to pave a road. When I became supervisor, it was about $1 million per mile, and now we're getting close to $2 million a mile. So the roads are getting very expensive. I'm proud to report we have fixed more roads. I know I've beaten that to a dead horse, but we've done more roads in the last 4 years than the last 25 years. But again, we still have sections of the township that need fixing with some tender care. These are some upcoming developments that are in the township. A lot of these are in the developmental stage. We have Altair Senior Development. This was approved. This is by Beaconsfield at 26 Mile. They've given us the easement to put the sidewalk to that bridge. We have a potential Baroness Estates that's on 29 Mile Road. These are 1-acre sites. That developer is actually going to bring water up to the site, so it'll give us additional fire protection with more fire hydrants and without bearing the cost there. Emerald Creek is in developmental and review with 58 units. Clifton Corners, I have it overstated there, but it's a few hundred homes there. They're still working out kinks there. Kingsridge Estates is about 15 units. Newberry South is a multifamily. There are 2 buildings with a total of 24 units. There's Palmview Estates, Viridian. Seven Lakes has a new phase, the 3rd phase there. There's Washington Villas, Willow Ridge North, which is by 26. That's a design they're looking to add on to there. And then we have White Oaks, which is phase 2. The building stage, these are the lots that are ready to go. Bradbury South, which is phase 3, there's about 3 or 4 units left. Greystone Estates, there's about 2 units left. Orchard Brook, that's near 26 by Hayes. There's a phase 3 in there. Seven Lakes has Overlook Drive. There's about 10 there, but they've already got a few up and they're being sold. White Oaks phase 1 has a few left. Meadowlands Estates is 4. Cantor Farms is the newest one. It's next to Hawks Acres. There's about 54 units in there. They've just done the groundwork, so lots probably won't start probably till late spring or early summer. Powell Ridge phase 1 and 2. There's a few lots left in there. That's near the 9th grade academy. And then Viridian phase 1 has 15 units. Viridian's broken into 3 phases as well. We're currently at 78 single home permits out of the 100 that we had projected. We have basically a month and a half to go, so we may hit it in the low 80s by then. I put this slide up because I have the community survey out right now, and every year people tell me we're building too much, we're building a lot, we're growing at the seams. I think this is a powerful slide. It shows that building permits are actually decreasing year after year. And I just want to point that out to everyone. The housing isn't as strong as people are. The thing that's saving us is that the homes are going down, but the homes are getting bigger, so the permits are actually, they are getting more revenue for each permit, but the number of permits have gone down dramatically. I've even did an analysis by trade with the plumbing, mechanical, and electric, and that you can see is taking a decline as well. So, not to like worry people, but it's not the booming that the township had in the 2010s or the early 2000s. I mean, it has slowed down a lot. So I get the majority of the population's right here on Van Dyke between 26 to 27, but when you go west of Mound and east of Jewel, it's very rural. There's still large parcels of land. We're not getting the numbers that people keep claiming. Our population's just shy of 30,000. SEMCOG's done a study on our township. If we were to build the way it's master planned today, we'll top off at 40,000. So when people say we're going to become Sterling Heights or Shelby, it's not a really true statement because we don't have the infrastructure or the zoning to allow for that kind of massive development. Commercial development, usually this is pretty booming. This year's, we're seeing a decline as well. We're very lucky. ZF has an expansion, so we got that going on. It's not really in the village, it's at 26 by Stony Creek. Pizza Nostalgia across the street from here, they're looking to expand their parking. The Hampton House has been sold to a restaurant owner. He plans to make that, reface it and make it into several units of a strip mall. That's all been approved. We're just waiting for him to start. Again, Newberry South, that's just north of 26 behind the Rite Aid. That green part, they've done the land balancing. That's supposed to be an indoor golf simulator on the first floor and a bank on the second floor. The Washington 27 multi-tenant commercial, that's a standalone. That looks like it's going to start. This is the land just south of the cement factory at the roundabout there at Van Dyke and Campground. And then we have a multi-tenant commercial, which was just south here of the Township Hall. That was expired, their permit, so we don't know if they're moving forward with it or not. In the northern part of the township, Jim Reels is still talking about doing a showroom addition. And Leo's Coney Island, which is just south of North Star Dental, that was approved, then it expired, and then they came back, so I don't know if that's still. Sadly, in our village district, we really don't have any commercial happening right now at the current moment. The northern part of the township, I am excited to report we have the Washington Romeo Medical Building, which is across from Westview. This is a huge facility. It'll help Henry Ford Hospital have a bigger staple here in our community. They'll have a lot of in and out patient that they can do there. I call it the Art and Jake's Retail Center. This is the land that was, if people remember, just south of the library, which was the Dolphin Pool property at one point. They're building 3 buildings there with a drive-through. Art and Jake's isn't moving from their current location, but they are making it for a retail center, which may include another restaurant there. Sadly, the owner passed away last year. He was a very good guy in our community, but the family's keeping on the business and keeping things going. I put this as well, like this is revenue and planning and zoning. As you can see, like obviously COVID, we took a dive, but we did have a little pickup there, and that's also been declining as well. So we're seeing, with the Rite Aid's closure, I'm hearing rumors of AutoZone. So I don't know, we're hoping the economy picks up pretty soon. I made this slide of economic concerns. At one point, we were lucky we were home to 3 Rite Aids, but not so lucky when they close up. So we've talked to the owners at the 26 in Van Dyke Rite Aid, they're looking to potentially split that into 3 units, with one being kind of a fast food restaurant with the drive-through that's there. So that one looks pretty good. 29 in Van Dyke, this one's a unique property. It's a consent judgment. It has been sold. The owners are working with the consent judgment committee right now to work to possibly update the consent judgment to see if they can bring in a user for that space. 31 in Van Dyke, this one right now is another proposed split. They're looking at making that a gas station with a drive-through to utilize the drive-through that's in the back that was the pharmacy. So it looks like all 3 will be back to being full again, but it may take several months. Sadly, just last week Andiamo closed, and it's for sale, that spot there. If the board remembers, we allow, or I know some of you are new, the board did allow them a liquor agreement, a liquor license. That liquor license is supposed to remain in Washington Township. I have to confirm what's legal, but it has to stay in that location. They can sell it to the new owner, but it has to stay in Washington Township or it returns back to us. They can sell the business without it, and then we get the liquor license back. Salvation Army is moving out of its current location to across the street by the Romeo Theater. And Myers on 32 Mile, which was approved in 2016, their PUD has lapsed, so we don't know if they've lost interest as well in that. Economic opportunities, on the good side, we're still in the running for Stellantis, which is a warehouse possibility. This would be a huge win for a tax base for the township. It would be 3 1 million square foot facilities. The issues they're working on right now is retention ponds. They're afraid of geese that may fly off, and there's an airport across the street, so we have to watch out for that. They're also looking at housing in the area, which we don't really have housing in that area. And again, we're competing with another community, but it does look good. This wouldn't be a strain on our utilities. The tax base would be huge for the township, and it would help us more on the economic aspect of it. All traffic would be strictly on 32 Mile. They wouldn't even access Powell Road, so the residents that live on Powell wouldn't even be affected by this. Myers on 26, they're going through a $6 million renovation right now. So they're doing an upkeep to refreshen the brand of Myers. And so we're excited that'll be happening. And as I mentioned, ZF is kind of the biggest. When I became supervisor, this was kind of a sad day. ZF was moving out of Washington Township. They were going to get located in another township. During that time was COVID, obviously. We met with ZF Corporation about several times between 2021 2022. We were able to bring them back here. Not only did we bring them back, but they've reinvested in there by joining the 2 buildings, which is adding 100,000 square feet. It's an $80 million investment. Other communities would, die to have this kind of investment. This is also adding 80 high-skilled paying jobs. These are all engineers and labs. They test seatbelts and airbags and that kind of stuff. So it's more of a crash facility that tests all these equipment. So it's a big win. The board did grant them, Patty would know better, like a 12-year tax abatement, I think. So, which pays off because they have a 50-year lease. So not only we're safe, but it seems like we're safe for 50 years. So the building is, hopefully will be completed this spring, and we're going to have a big celebration there to welcome them back to Washington Township. Building department, permits continue. I'm requesting them to project 75 permits this year unless they can prove otherwise. This helps to allow for them to do more code enforcement in our township. One of the reasons having a dedicated code enforcement officer, we've done a lot of studies on this, but we're not at that level. This allows the building department, when they are slower right now, they can do more code enforcement. It secures their job while adding more code enforcement to our township. The website, we've updated it dramatically over the last year and a half. I've had all the forms put in Adobe. They're accepting payments online. They now have a generic email that they share info among each other, so if one is not here, Again, the forms are all fillable, which has improved a lot. We're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible on the website. They've also been cross-training among each other to help on all different. All the field inspectors now use tablets, which is better than paper because it goes straight from the tablet right into the BSNA software. I'll get into this more later, but I've been looking into this for the past year. I think it's time we do upgrade the BSNA. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the BSNA would help not only building department, but treasury and basically every department. Eventually, we're going to have to bite the bullet and do this upgrade. Our version is from 2008, and eventually they won't service it. So other communities have started to embrace it. It's the iCloud version of it. It's better storage, it works faster, and not only, it would actually allow more forms to be put online, that it would do the permit processing even faster. Fire department, our emergency services. Yearly, we approve up-to-date safety equipment for our residents with a stellar staff. So in 2021, we completed the new ambulance remount. New fire station number 3 was built and completed. We had a grand opening that time. 2022, some key projects. We secured 10 acres on 31 Mile for a future Station 4 as that area develops. Land is becoming very scarce, so we've locked in these 10 acres with 5 acres for the fire department, 5 acres for a future park. In 2022, we actually ordered our new fire truck, and we received it in 2024, as you'll see, so it took 2 years. There's a very long lead items. So in 2023, we renewed our fire union contract. This was a big win for the fire department. It helped retain and keep the staff that we do have, and that contract is good for 5 years. Again, our new ambulance arrived then in the end of 23. That was ordered as well in 21. I think that took 2 years. And we got a new air drone as well. The air drone has been, Washington Township leads the area for air drones. They've been called into other areas to help with the air drones, and it's especially helpful to them. I know at Stony Creek, if there's a drowning situation, they can get the drone up there to find the victim right away. 2025, that's where we're at. So these are some kind of big ticket items, but I need the board to start being aware of it. We need to order a new ambulance, again, because of the lead time. Ambulances are kind of run by mileage, and the next ambulance up, the mileage has kind of, it's getting close to there, so we need to put the ambulance up and hopefully get it within the next 2 years. The ladder truck as well, we'll probably in the next month or two need to put that in for order, because as well that there's a lead time to 2 to 3 years to get the ladder truck. We just put out to bid a construction manager to look into building the new fire station at 30 and Powell. I call this phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 would be the new training center. This would be a burn center. Is that the proper word? Yeah, live fire. These are actually crates. It's a 5-story building. It gives them real life fire simulation. It's also, we're looking at grant funded. I have Lisa McLean, our congresswoman, is looking into getting us grants for this. This also could help generate funds for the fire department, as well as other fire departments will come here to practice at the fire training center. Again, the smaller community, we actually had a meeting, the chief and I, with all the chiefs in the northern Macomb, northern Oakland, and southern Lapeer. All these areas would love to have this in Washington because they're not big enough to ever have this, but we would be close enough for them to come and train here. And fire departments actually lose their ratings if they don't get enough training time. So it's a win-win. We had Lisa McLean here. We had representatives from the Governor Gretchen's office or Governor Whitmer, I should say, and also Senator Peters' office. Senator Peters actually controls a lot of infrastructure grant money, so his aides made it sound pretty good. Lisa McLean was actually here. She was excited about this project. The grants will be coming out any day now. It's usually the first week of February, so I've texted her several times, so it's supposed to be coming any day now so we can present this again. Police, this is something that I've been very passionate about. In 21, we renewed our 3-year contract. Since 2010, we've had a police millage that the voters approved at 2 mills. We operate at 1.6, so we're well below the operating millage. The millage is for 14 deputies. And at that time, we added the school liaison, which is half ours, half the school. When school's not in session, he's on road patrol. 2022 was the first increase. We added a traffic enforcement officer and a motor carrier officer. The motor carrier officer, for those not familiar, that's more for gravel haulers, construction equipment, and that's been beneficial, especially on Mound because of weight restrictions, that they abuse the weight restriction. It could be as silly as mud flaps. Oddly enough, over the last 2.5 years, I guess, they've actually pulled over some people for a minor infraction, and they ended up being people that were wanted in other states. So you think you're doing something minor, and you're actually catching someone bigger. So the Macomb County Sheriff's has been very excited about this. It's been very beneficial. In 2023, we added an afternoon traffic enforcement officer. This was key. We've been catching a lot of drunk drivers, and it's scary to think before that how many people were driving around intoxicated. 2024, technically November 25th it was right after we were all sworn in. I was proud that we were finally able to add a command officer. We also renewed our 3-year contract with the police. This command officer adds a dedicated sergeant to patrol our township, and also another police officer to patrol the streets. We just approved at the last meeting, but this year we're going to be building that way station where Van Dyke and Campground kind of meet just north towards the expressway. There's an old pavement there from old Van Dyke that's still good, that will be a safe way for the police department to pull over large trucks, get them in, get them out pretty fast, and it'll get the cop back on the road to help keep the road safe. As we build the new fire station, my goal is by next year, 2026, we convert the 30-mile fire station to be the police substation. Currently, our police substation is at Station 1 at 27 Mile. No one would have expected, but Station 1 has probably close to outgrown than what it should have been. So adding all these deputies there, parking's a premium, space is a premium. By relocating the 30-mile, I've copied this model from Harrison Township. They did a similar thing with one of their fire departments. This gives residents a safe place to go there to file police reports, relocates all the police cars to one location. The main reason is to make it more centralized in our township. Our 2 highest accidents are 30 Mile and M53 and 30 Mile and Van Dyke. So having the police right there cuts down the wait time, and the fire department will be located on the other side of M53. So we'll be really strongly situated per ISO standards and in the central of the township, easy to go north and south there. Did I miss anything here? Another thing with this command officer, it's already paid off in less than a month. Our big issue is obviously traffic in the township, especially with the schools. So Sergeant Petrowski has really helped me working with the school system. We're trying to find other ways to relocate the banking of the cars, seeing if there's another way to change the traffic flow. And this way it'll help alleviate some of the traffic here on Van Dyke as well as on 29 Mile. Before 4 years ago, 29 Mile wasn't as traveled. Now you got a high school there, a 9th grade academy, you got 2 elementary schools. So the traffic on 29 Mile has changed in the last 4 years from before. This is just to give the board an update on, these are all township properties that the township does own. We own 34 acres of industrial, which is at 30 and Powell. We own the land at Pilgrim and Van Dyke. This is a small area. It's been designated for future parking lot. I don't know the functionality of it because I can't see more than 8 cars in that parking lot, but that's what it's designated right now. It may be a good piece to trade in the future or to add on to. We have 10 acres on 31 Mile, as I mentioned, 5 for a park and 5 for a future fire station. 28 in Jewel is 30 acres that the township received as a donation many years ago. I'd like to see this become a future park because there's a lot of stipulations. It's part wetlands. I've actually had the high school draw up a park there. And Spalding DeDecker, our planner, is looking into some grants that we can apply for to hopefully make this non-payment, but if not, Parks and Rec is aware of this property to make this into a functional park and add some connectivity. We still have Aikman property, which is at 29 in Van Dyke. I know we've talked about it for 4 years that possibly this would be a good spot for a future splash park. We own the 4 acres in front of Hevel Elementary. This land doesn't has a creek going through it, so it could be a good spot for a park since it's next to a school. But just for the people to know, of course, we own Gilcher Chrisman Park. Again, I've been meeting with Claire over the past year. We're really pushing to put pavilions and bathrooms at all the parks. We want to get rid of these porta-johns and kind of clean up the park. Our wastewater treatment plant, we have over 13 acres there. I'll get into that in a minute, but that's where we would like to relocate the new DPW building. It just makes sense to put it there next to the wastewater treatment plant since after last week with the sewer break, it shows the importance of being close to the sewage there. Our current municipal park here in Township Hall, last year we redid the parking lot, or should I say it was the fall before. I remember we started on Columbus Day, so it must have been in 23, but we actually added all this utility to go to the back to help put pavilions and bathrooms for Parks and Rec back here. So as we opened up the parking lot, we added a lot of infrastructure underground. And just last week, we put a new fiber line to the building for internet stability. We own the Memorial Park, which is at 27 in Van Dyke. That was donated to us by the developer there. 31 Mile, we have about 30 acres there as well. That's near Powell. That's partial wetland. This too I discussed with Parks and Rec to look into. This park, we kind of have it envisioned just as being a trailway to connect one sidewalk to another sidewalk and kind of just keep it as the land the way it is. Hacks Acres was the latest acquisition we bought about 2 years ago. This is 27 acres. We have several barns on there along with their house. The owners, with part of the deal, had 2 years to live there, which will expire the end of November. The high school right now is actually coming up with several concepts on what to use this Hawks Acres for as a conservatory, as a farmer's market, as a community garden, as a park. They're all coming up with a different concept. I'm excited to see their creativity, and then I'd like to bring it back here and maybe make it like a vote to see what the community kind of thinks of it, as well as public input as well. WBRW, we own that building as well. That was the original fire department, built, I don't know, in the 40s. I don't know, it was a while back. So we have that off of Wicker Street. We own, obviously, the 3 current fire stations. And our current DPW building, which is behind Fire Station 2 on 30 Mile behind Westview. Once we build a new DPW building, we'd like to still keep these buildings for more seasonal type equipment. The DPW has to keep street lights, fire hydrants, like stuff in inventory. So this would be a good spot to keep all that kind of stuff. Landscaping needs, the snow blades for the trucks, different things that are just seasonal, and that would be a good spot to store the stuff. Keep it there. This was one of the things I've asked Mike Kozak to look into. This is the 34 acres we own at 30 in Powell. This has become like kind of the new, oh, how do I go back? Let's see this. Okay, sorry. This is kind of the new thing. That area, everything was sold in 10 to 15 acre increments. A lot of companies aren't looking for 10 or 15 acres. They're looking for anywhere from like 2 to 5 acres. This is a concept we're having that possibly we would parcel this out Bruce Township did a kind of a model of this, and they're selling like crazy. We would put a little cord in there. We would break it into 4 or 5 parcels. That circled area, I don't know if we should, I would like to keep that more as a commercial area to make that more for like restaurants and stuff, because eventually this area will become businesses and they'll need places to eat and shop. The corner piece there that's next to it, that's the 5 acres of the fire department right there. DPW, this is the exciting stuff that costs the most money but is all buried. So the upcoming projects that we have is the forced main sewer. I just added this, as everyone saw last week on the news. We have a forced main from 26 to 25 Mile Road, roughly, and then after that it turns into gravity pipe. So from 24 and a half to 23 mile, that pipe is all gravity. Back in 2010, they put a sleeve on it. That pipe should be good. The pipe that broke should have lasted another 40 years. So we want to do some sort of a scoping of that pipe to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So Mike Kozak's currently working on a couple ways for us to explore that, either with a camera or we would have to do like a relief sewer next to it to get in there and look at it. Mound Road to Par 4, we're actually adding water line from 7 Lakes to Par 4. This is huge because it adds more fire protection in the northern part of that area. We have a lot of big homes out there with no fire protection, so this will help extend that. That's actually been started. Easements have been acquired and we're working on that. The new DPW building is the big expense right there that's sticking out right there. The internal road is something for you guys to consider, which I just went over in the last slide. Meter change out. This is a statewide initiative. We're currently doing 200 meters a year. This is about 90K. The same thing with new hydrants. We do a rotation of them as they're needed. They're about $150 a hydrant. Is this the last year, Rich, or we should finish this year? This has been over the last 3 years. Van Dyke to 28 to 29. Oddly enough, we don't have any water and sewer going from 28 to 29. In order to properly develop Van Dyke, I believe it should have water and sewer. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with storage unit after storage unit after storage unit. So we have Mike Kozak looking into doing that. This would probably be a 2-year project. We're still going under an annual SCADA upgrade, which is $50,000 a year. The other big project is our Jewel Road lift station. Both the design part of it for the deep sewer and the lift station. That lift station's, again, about 45 years old. It's outlived its life. That's not a cheap item. It's about $2.5 million. So we're going to be talking about that sooner than later. The wastewater treatment plant, this is the thing I've been pushing for tank covers, because we have housing that's backing up to the wastewater treatment plant, so I'm just waiting for a hot summer day for them to start complaining. So I thought it'd be good, not only as a odor deterrent, but also I'm afraid if animals or people would fall into these tanks of sewage. And then we do our replacement program of sewer manhole. That's about $350. Future capital projects that they're on our future capital program is finishing the water line on 31 Mile and extending the water line down 28 Mile towards Mount Vernon. DPW. Again, DPW, we're becoming a true DPW department. If any of you have seen our DPW department, it's a 3-car garage. It's not that large. So we have all this expensive equipment. A lot of it's anywhere from, all this equipment's, that Vector truck on the bottom costed us about $600,000 about 3 years ago. Those other ones are all a couple $100,000. Well, when you get weather like we're getting right now, it takes time to warm up these trucks, clean them off, get them out, and takes the guy's time and costs us money. And by having a proper DPW facility, it'll help house these. We're lucky we're not in an area that we got to worry about, any type of, I don't know, how would you call it? People tampering with the equipment, but this equipment is just parked out there and mainly for the elements. So this would help we do have this, again, proposed building. It's about 55,000 square feet with area to expand. So if in the next 50 years they need to expand again, there's room to expand it. This would free up the Township Hall by removing the DPW staff back to their own facility again. We've also included a drive-through window so people can pay their water bills through a drive-through window. It would store all our vehicles properly. And then I just put it down. It'd also give us a free polling location if we need a spot for people to vote. Again, the original DPW building, this would be used for storage, again, like light poles and fire hydrants and that kind of stuff. Again, the goal here would, we can actually grow into a true DPW department with landscape equipment. We wouldn't have to outsource our landscape equipment, our snow plowing. This could all be done in-house. Again, with tree removals, ditch cleaning, we would become our own department, and it would save us cost in the long run instead of hiring this out through a third party. Every year since I've been supervisor, we've put about $50,000 aside, and it hasn't been that much. It's been around $20,000 to $30,000 depending. We've cleaned portions of the drain with Candace Miller's office. I like this example because it shows a really good example before and after, but this is the smallest of the three main drains we have. This is the Mount Vernon drain. It's not really well known, but it was really overgrown with Phragmites. Oh my God. I was going to call it something else. You can see the work they did and how it ends, and you know, it almost looks like a park when it's done. And the last few years we've actually done Yates Drain. We've done like a mile section at a time. So I'm excited to keep that going. This is huge because when we get the big rainfalls in the summer or we get the massive thawing, these fill up very fast, and by having them clean, it moves a lot faster. Candace Miller does do a rehoming to the beavers in the area because they do build dams. So that was kind of interesting to know. This is kind of a mock-up drawing of the new DPW building. Again, it offers a lot of parking for, we've actually overcounted to allow for, as we grow into a full DPW department, it would house all the trucking. If any of the trustees are interested, we can take you for a ride to Shelby or Macomb. It's kind of a similar setup that they have. The beauty of this is on the north side, you can break, that wall is removable and we can keep going if we want to in the future. So we're not building something that's only good for the next 20 years. This should hopefully last for the next 100 years. I also put down too, our smart vehicles are actually parked outside too. I thought until we fill them up, this would be a good spot to park all the smart trucks and vans if we don't need them to park in there. At least they're in-house and out of the elements as well. Again, with our sidewalk master plan, we've accomplished a lot so far. We've connected sidewalks to Havel Elementary, Powell Middle School, Romeo High School, some portions of 29 Mile, Van Dyke. We've done a lot between 30 Mile to 29 and a half. Portions of Van Dyke, oh, I already said that. Jewel Road, we've done a lot. Jewel Road is probably where I get the most requests from all the residents in the area there. Again, we usually target about $1 million per year. We don't spend that much every year. But again, the concentration's been along Van Dyke, along the schools, and the Macomb Orchard Trail. Again, we've done a lot with the schools. We're starting to look at different portions of Van Dyke. Now we're looking at the other side by Romeo, kind of by Romeo Family Restaurant going south. Again, the bridge on 26 Mile, this is exciting. We're actually going to add this to the agenda tonight. We had a meeting yesterday with the engineers, and we have to put this on the agenda tonight for approval in order to proceed with this grant. So we're excited. This is one of our survey questions that I've asked the community where they would like to see sidewalks. Again, this is a touchy subject. Some people either love them or hate them. But, you know, we're trying to use common sense as well. We did put an ordinance together on areas we believe sidewalks should be and where sidewalks will never be. We also have the beauty roads, which is campground, and parts of Mount Vernon Road that those are beauty roads. They'll never become sidewalks. Marketing and signage. As everyone can tell, I really love the logo here. So I've added this backdrop. I've added the sign. We've the flags, we put it here. Last year was a big complaint over social media that they said that we have tired-looking signs. We don't have any signage. So it was about 2 months ago, the board approved to improve all our signage in the township. Giffords Webster did this. I think they did a really great job. It incorporates our logo. The main focal point, which is probably the most of the money, is at 26 in Van Dyke. That's kind of the center and welcome point of the township. I'd really like to have that sign along 26 and M53, as you see over there. But we're going to be doing this over 2 years. I've also been working with landscapers. I'm proud to thank Marino's Landscaping. They actually take care of our landscaping at the parking lot there. They do all the cleanup, the winterization, the spring cleanup. So I've been trying to push this adopt a spot, I call it, trying to adopt the different corners if people want to spruce up that area. And it's about time. Washington Township, I mean, we have a lot to be proud of. We should show off our logo. So that's what I feel. This is something, I bring this up every year. A few years ago, we looked at this township hall was built in 1989. With DPW leaving, it will give us space, but again, the building has just become outdated, sadly. When they built this building, there was no thought to any future growth, infrastructure, anything. The heating and cooling suffers in here daily. The electric is bad. Again, heating and cooling, the plumbing is outdated, the layout's bad, the room for growth is not there. We share the area with the community center, which, again, at times we're at odds. Security, even though we're a safe community, we don't want to take it for granted, so we got to put security measures in this building. This would be no cost to the residents. This is just food for thought, nothing. But the green space up front, I did have it drawn 4 years ago. We could actually build a 3-story building, which we would utilize 2 stories of it. The 3rd floor would actually be, they call it white wall. It would be drywalled and left, and there would be room for growth if we ever needed it. And this would become the community center. Parking-wise, it wouldn't change because the workers, instead of parking in the back, they would park up front, and the back would be just strictly Parks and Rec. It would add to the downtown look that we're trying to create in the village. I have the plans, again, food for thought, and something to think about. The idea here would be that Parks and Rec would basically purchase this building over a 99-year lease, and the funds of that would pay for the building up front, so there would be no cost to the residents. So this is just, again, keep in the back of your mind an area to think, and wanted to share that again. These are other items for everyone to think about as we get into the budget. Staffing, review staffing needs. I'd like to explore staff sharing. Again, as permits are declining, I don't want to just keep hiring people to hire people. We need to tighten the belt a little bit this year. It's not all doom and gloom, but I don't see the economy improving overnight. I think the upcoming year, we're not seeing the projects or any development coming in that dramatic for the next year. So for the next year, I'm asking all department heads for no new hires. Logistics, again, the fire department's a good example of it, but all logistics, between shortages, delays from suppliers, to get a fire truck takes 2 to 3 years, an ambulance takes 2 years. It's not like you can just order it, it takes time. We continue to drive the state on environmental concerns. We have a couple sites on Mound that we continue to bug the state on for cleanup. WBRW as well, to talk about that as PEG fees continue to decline each quarter. Cemetery cost and maintenance, to look at the trees that are out there that destroy the plots, looking at, bless you, look at cost if it's time to raise the cost of cemetery plots. Again, there's always new process for elections, so I know that they're always burdened with new forms, new computers, so that's another expense. Last year was all these new election laws, and they were being changed like, it seemed like by date, so they were getting thrown curveballs all the time. Again, this is always a number one answer on our community surveys, is to look into securing natural land, keeping our rural area intact, and exploring ways to keep historic buildings. So we're always trying to ensure that. Hawks Acres is a good example of what we did for that. Parks and Rec Commission has finally been reorganized. It has been working. They've created a master plan. I've submitted all these park properties for them to hopefully develop. So hopefully we'll see new park pavilions and bathrooms in the upcoming year. Cybersecurity is always a growing and changing field, so the municipal hall, along with all of our other buildings, we have to make sure of security and ensure that we always upgrade our security. The economic future is always a question mark, so always keep that in the back of our heads. BS&A upgrade and timing. Again, I've been looking at that for about 6 to 7 months. There's no good time to actually do this, but I think I'm putting it on the budget. We'll see what the board thinks, but I really like to pursue this because it's going to take several months to implement. This is a phased option because of you can actually pay this over the course of 3 different installment payments. But again, I know when it's treasury time, the computer fails sometimes because of the system is just getting outdated with the version that we're on. The other main thing that I'm going to ask the board to look into is to do a new bond. I know Mike Nicely and I have had a few calls with our bond representative. We couldn't secure a really good bond. We do have the funds to pay for it, but we can actually borrow the money and pay very little interest. So we'll present this to the board to see what you guys think. Instead of depleting our funds, we could get a bond and pay for it over 20 years at a very low interest rate. And this way we don't deplete our funds overnight. And basically that would be, as an accountant, this is the way I would recommend, basically. But we'll discuss this in the upcoming months. So the next steps, over the next week and two, the Finance Committee is myself, the clerk and the treasurer. I'm going to set up meetings with each department head. We're going to try to finalize all these budgets, tweak them up. I've set up 2 to 3 sessions, I think 3 altogether, with the trustees so we can go more deep down. As we do each one, we'll try to give you guys these budget sheets so you can start looking at them more in depth. We're going to finalize so basically in the timeline is we'll finalize the enterprise and government funds presentation and approval in March. So again, March 5th board meeting will be the formal presentation. If I don't hear anything, everybody's fine with the presentation. The final vote will be March 19th. If there's anything that change, I'll have to do another presentation and we'll have to schedule special meetings. Again, please feel free to email me or call me with your ideas, questions, or comments. And of course, we can always, obviously at the budget workshops is when we work this out. So this was more just to give you guys some things to think about. I can email you guys this PowerPoint so you guys can look at it. Yeah. So I know I threw a lot at you. It's not as scary as it looks. It's just it's a lot of information, and I kept it to 1 hour, so I'm happy. So
Sam, if you write something down on there, like for example the fire, if you write it down, does that mean we can afford it then? If it gets to that slide, that means you've looked at everything and we can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll present it more pretty, but financially, if we had to open our wallet, we can pay for it. I just think it's smarter use of our money if we get a bond.
Of course.
And, pay for it over like a 3%. I don't know, what do we say, 3.5%? Which a few years ago we could get 2%. Nowadays, 3.5 is pretty considered low. So, But again, paying that over 20 years is a lot better for us, and it's just a way to finance it, but without depleting the funds. But we can afford it, though.
Okay, so that's what I was asking. 'Cause
Not to brag about it.
I was
but
embarrassed to
it's
tell
okay.
you, like,
Yeah.
earlier today, I told you I had a question. So then my question was, like, if it gets to us where we're voting on it, I can be relatively assured that we can afford it when we're finally voting on it.
Yeah, I
we can
mean,
afford it.
no, and I know what you guys are thinking, because, I mean, I went through, I guess we all go through it.
Your shock, right? For your
Yeah, so like, when I became trustee, I didn't go through the budget workshop the first year, so you go to a meeting and you're seeing like, we're requesting this, we're requesting that, and you're like, oh my God, we're writing checks every week. But this is the part where, that's why you're gonna hear these things twice. You're gonna hear it through budget process, then he may not, I mean, I'm gonna pick on you, sorry. So the fire department requests 10 things, they're gonna explain it at their budget workshop. So it's in your mind, but then they may come in October, it may take several months to come before you. So even though it's approved in the budget, it doesn't mean it's a blank check. It still has to come back to the board, obviously.
Well, right, but when it gets to the point where it's approved, then that means like, yeah, like, let's go for it. It's approved.
Yeah, I try to do, when we do make a motion like that, to say where it's going to hit. I mean, our accountant obviously knows. No, but if it should hit the ARPA funds, if it should hit the bond, if it should hit, which category. So I've been trying to do that with each budget thing, so everybody knows which bucket it's hitting, basically.
Yeah, and I also love, again, the chief always makes sure if it's 2-year lead time, we're 2 years, 3 years, whatever. I love that. I mean, we're so organized, so much better than, I served at another community a long time ago where we were always scrambling. We were always paying these extra fees and fines because we didn't have anything done right. So we were, paying the rush fee is what I'm trying to say.
I know, I mean, I know Rob too. They try to buy things staggered because this way not everything goes at once. Other communities buy them all in 1 year, so in 5 years, everything's down. So it's better to stagger, like you were saying. It's yeah.
Like saying what you've heard me saying, right?
Yeah.
We have the needs analysis done, we know it's a need, but I always worry long-term on the financial sustainability, right? We don't want to.
No, yeah.
And the previous board was gracious enough to let Plant Moran develop this workbook that we could literally plug in all of our capital assets and all the stuff that we've got, and it'll spit out at the end, whether it's red or black, right?
Yeah.
And it's a, I don't know, dynamic workbook. But I really feel exactly what you're saying. And the budget is just a parameter for us to work with. Things change throughout the year, especially over the 2 years. And we will, the purchasing policy requires us to come before the board anyway, and we'll have another look at the financial affordability and the needs that we bring in. But I really appreciate what you're saying because, we're looking at this stuff in 12 or 24-month snapshots, but, when you start talking about millions of dollars, I just wasn't comfortable with strategizing
No,
2 years.
Well, so we'll be getting into it better more at the board level, but as I said, we put it out to bid to get a construction manager. So we're building a new DPW, a new fire station. They're literally within a few blocks of each other. They're on Powell Road. So we thought it was a perfect opportunity. One construction manager could handle both projects. So it'll save us on, obviously, a construction manager, but it gives him the flexibility. If the electrician, let's say, is caught up at this building, he can send them there.
Right.
So it keeps the productivity going, and we're hoping, and the fire station's basically a duplicate of Fire Station 3 at 28 Mile. So it should be a simple build there, but we're excited. We're getting a lot of upper support, again, from Congress and the state U.S. Senator to help with grants, so I'm hoping we get a lot of grant money on that. You don't have any questions, John? Oh my God, I got to record this. You got this? John doesn't have a question.
Wait till tonight.
Again, it's we do a 2-year budget. The first year we try to obviously stick to it. The second year is kind of a spitball, but DPW, fire department, they all do a 5 and 10 year capital need. I think you guys go up to 20 years. So we'll be showing you guys all this information as well. So you won't be pressed for information. Is that the right terminology? I don't know. But again, obviously the economy is always a question mark. I mean, 2 days ago, we weren't going to, I guess I won't get into politics, but.
No.
But politics seems to be changing by the day right now, so we'll see what happens. But we're hoping that after this year, things start picking up again all over the country. I do want to say, I know development's always a big question. We're trying to manage that healthy balance of some development. We need the tax base coming in, but we also want to keep our rural character. I think we're at that spot. We have PC and ZBA members that are aware we have to abide by our future plan, but also attract new business and work together to make sure that we have that healthy balance. The other thing for the board, I should have made a slide on it. We're actually our operating is 1 mil. Every year, because of the Headley Act, it goes down a percentage. That's Patty's plug-in back there. We're actually operating at 0.59 of 1 mil. So we're at a unique spot because we're actually the lowest operating mill in the whole county. So when you pay your taxes, everyone thinks we collect it all. We don't. We keep 0.5% of your tax, and the rest of it all goes to the county, to the millages, and we don't keep that much. So the schools are probably the biggest, yeah. And we have that all at our assessing counter for anyone to look at. I'll be presenting that as well to the board. So I have them scheduled for the next 2 Wednesdays at 3 p.m. This is an open meeting. The public is welcome to come and listen or watch it right here at WBRWTV.com. Otherwise, I'm Sam Praviti, your Township Supervisor. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.